On June 13, 2022, the quiet suburban neighborhood of Round Lake Beach, Illinois, would forever be scarred by an unimaginable crime. A mother, Debbie Carrols, returned home, expecting to pick up her 3 children from a visit with their father. But what she discovered instead was a nightmare that would send shockwaves through the entire community. Her 3 children, Bryant, 5, Cassidy, 3, and little Gideon, only 2, were dead. And the man responsible for this horrific act? None other than the children's own father, Jason Carrols. This is the story of a loving family torn apart by anger, loss, and a descent into madness. Join me as we unravel the harrowing details of this case and try to understand how a devoted father could become a cold-blooded killer. 911. What's the address of the emergency? The dispatcher's voice is calm, but the woman on the other end is barely able to speak. It's Debbie Carrols, and her words are frantic. I'm Debbie Carrols. My kids, my husband, my kids are dead. Her voice breaks as she stammers through the unimaginable scene she has just walked into. The dispatcher tries to keep her composed, but it's clear something unspeakable has happened. Debbie had come home to pick up her children from a scheduled visitation with Jason. Instead, she found their lifeless bodies lying together on the bed. They're dead! All of them! She cries, her voice filled with disbelief and anguish. Within minutes, police officers arrive at the home. Their body cams capture the tension in the air. The house is deathly quiet. Officers move carefully through the rooms, searching for signs of life. Police! Police! Coming up! One officer shouts as they make their way upstairs. The body cam footage shows them approaching the bedroom. Blood spatters the floor, and the sight that greets them in the bedroom is too much for words. The 3 children lie still, tucked under blankets, their lives stolen by the very man meant to protect them. An officer radios back, his voice strained. We have 3 deceased juveniles, repeat, 3 juveniles. Debbie is outside, crumpled in a ball, inconsolable. She can't believe this is happening. I can't believe he did this, she sobs, her body shaking with grief. Her world, her children, everything she loved, was gone in an instant. The intensity of the moment is captured not only in the visuals, but in the silence of the house, where life had once thrived. Now death had settled in. And Jason, the father, was nowhere to be found. To understand why Jason Carrols committed this horrific act, we need to look back into the months leading up to that tragic day. Jason was, by all accounts, a dedicated father. Friends and family described him as loving, involved, and someone who adored his children. But as his marriage to Debbie began to unravel, so did Jason's mental stability. Jason had always been somewhat controlling, and after their separation, his need for control only intensified. Debbie had moved on, starting to see someone else, and this became the breaking point for Jason. He felt that he was losing everything: his marriage, his role as a father, and his identity. In the weeks leading up to the murders, Jason's behavior grew increasingly erratic. He would bombard Debbie with texts and voicemails, swinging between pleading for reconciliation and accusing her of trying to erase him from their children's lives. His obsession with regaining control over his family consumed him. He spiraled into depression, losing his job, distancing himself from friends, and falling deeper into a dark place where his thoughts became more and more twisted. Jason began to see his children not as innocent lives to be protected, but as pawns in his fight with Debbie. In his mind, he convinced himself that if he couldn't be with them, neither could she. It wasn't just about love or loss anymore, it was about revenge. On the surface, Jason still seemed functional, but inside, he was losing his grip on reality. The people closest to him didn't realize the depth of his despair, or how far he was willing to go. On June 13th, Jason picked up his children for what was supposed to be a normal visitation. No one knew what he had planned. He spent the day with them, as any father might, playing games and watching TV. But as the night wore on, his mind grew darker. At around 1 a.m., after an angry phone call with Debbie, something inside Jason snapped. He led his children, one by one, into the bathroom, where he filled the tub with water. Each child, trusting their father, followed him without hesitation. And one by one, Jason drowned them. Afterwards, he laid their lifeless bodies on the bed, almost as if he were putting them to sleep. He carefully arranged their small, innocent forms under blankets, creating a chillingly peaceful scene. Then, he left a note on the counter, "If I can't have them, neither can you." Jason attempted to take his own life multiple times that night, but each time he failed. When Debbie finally arrived to pick up the children, she found a house of horrors. Jason by then had fled the scene. Police immediately launched a manhunt. Within hours, they located Jason driving erratically on a nearby highway. A high-speed chase ensued, ending only when Jason crashed into a wooded area. The police rushed to the wreckage, guns drawn. Jason was alive, but barely coherent. "I know what I did," he muttered as officers pulled him from the vehicle. Jason Carrols stood trial for the murder of his 3 children in December 2023. The courtroom was packed with reporters, family, and members of the community, all eager to see justice served for the 3 innocent lives taken too soon. Throughout the trial, Jason sat emotionless, his eyes downcast as prosecutors laid out the horrific details of his crime. They described how Jason had meticulously planned the murders, driven by jealousy and a desire for control. He wasn't mentally ill. They argued he was calculating, motivated by revenge. Debbie took the stand, her testimony the most gut-wrenching of all. Through tears, she recounted the last time she saw her children alive. The way they had waved goodbye, full of joy, unaware that it would be the last time. "He didn't just take their lives," Debbie said. "He destroyed mine." Jason's defense team argued that he had suffered a mental breakdown, that his actions were the result of a man pushed beyond his limits. But the jury saw through the defense. Jason was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole. As the sentence was read, the courtroom erupted in sobs, some of relief, some of devastation. For Debbie, it was a bittersweet moment. Justice had been served, but no sentence could bring her children back. The case of Jason Carrols is more than just a story of a man driven to commit an unspeakable crime. It's a reminder of the fragility of the human mind and how untreated mental health issues, combined with the stress of a crumbling marriage, can lead to tragedy. The loss of Bryant, Cassidy, and Gideon will forever haunt their family. But their memory serves as a painful reminder of the importance of mental health awareness and family support systems. Conversations about mental health, particularly among fathers and those going through custody battles, began to emerge in the wake of this tragedy. The hope is that by addressing these issues, future tragedies can be prevented. Debbie's final words to the press were heartbreaking, but hopeful. "I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive Jason, but I do hope that this will make people see the importance of getting help before it's too late. My children didn't deserve this. No one does." This case isn't just about murder. It's about control, anger, loss, and the devastating consequences of a mind pushed to its breaking point. Let the memory of Bryant, Cassidy, and Gideon remind us all to reach out to those in need before darkness takes over.